Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah. Melanated! Welcome to my recap of Married at First Sight Season 10. I know you guys are surprised I'm even watching this show, but in this episode, I want to talk about Meka and Michael, their journey so far. This is the third video that I filmed. I've already talked about Zach and Mindy. I have already talked about Brandon and Taylor, which those videos will be live as well, so please go and check them out. For those of you guys who don't know what Married at First Sight is, it is a love reality show on Lifetime, comes on Wednesdays, I believe at 8 p.m. And it's basically where professionals that are like some kind of accredited doctors, they're matchmakers and they set up singles with other singles in the hopes that they will be able to have a relationship and flourish. And the premise of it is that they don't know who the person is until they meet them at the altar. So in this segment, I'm only going to be talking about one couple, and that is Meka and Michael. Meka and Michael are two young professionals that live in the Washington, D.C. area. I can't remember how old they are, but I believe they're in their late 20s. Michael is a grade school age director for education for special learning kids. So I think he has dyslexia or some kind of learning disability. And so he wanted to then give back and be one of those like great teachers or great education professionals. Meka is a category analyst. She basically works for a grocery store and tells them how much product they need based on sales and based on trends and stuff. So she's like a data analyst before a grocery store. And they are, I guess, ready for love, you know? So we meet them and we find out that Michael is somebody who is, was raised by his aunt since he was 9 months old. I don't believe he remembers his mother. His aunt and his grandmother took him. His aunt specifically adopted him. So the woman that's his cousin is actually the woman that is his sister, that he knows is his sister, is actually his cousin. He seemingly has like great friends. He also does yoga, which I was like, oh my God, like I love that he's like understands yoga and energy and like all that stuff. It's like, oh, as a black man, woo, I love it. So, and he's an educator. So it seems like Michael's like really cool guy. And then we go to Meka, and Meka is the oldest of like 5 kids. Girl, her mother is fly, okay? Her mother looks great, and she's like has this kind of best friend relationship with her mother because she was the oldest and had to take care of the kids while her mother was working various jobs. So her mother's very supportive of this process. As far as I've been able to tell, she's the most supportive parent on this season. Her younger siblings are all supportive and her friends as well. So when she found out that she was chosen for this show, she was very excited, and so was Michael, very excited for this whole entire process. His sister was very excited for him as well. Meka, when we saw her initially, she had like natural hair or natural like clip-ins or something like that. And Michael mentioned that he really loves a woman who has natural hair. Part of me was a little bit like, don't try to choose what kind of hair your girl has. Like, you know, I don't know why I got real like annoyed by that, by him saying that he's attracted to that, which is so dumb. But it like made me feel like Michael always struck me as the type of guy who like knows that he's like a great guy and a winner, and so any woman would be so lucky to have him, but not in a like annoying bravado way, the kind of way like Brandon behaves or Zach behaves. I was like, okay. Anyway, so when Meka gets married, she does like the part in the middle and the slicking of the hair back and the ponytail, and I thought, oh my God, is Michael gonna have something to say because she has like a tail? But it looked really natural. Their whole wedding, like Meka has a very hard time letting down her guard, and she sees every opportunity where she's not able to let down her guard as like a challenge. And so I was like, you know what? Bravo to this girl, like this hardworking, like hard sort of exterior girl for like really making an effort to break down her own walls in what seems to be a responsible way. So after they get married, again, they do their I do's, they have their vows to each other. It seems like they're going to be a pretty good couple. They go back, they have a little champagne after the nuptials, and they talk a little bit. Again, Meka's having a hard time like letting go. Then they have wedding photos. And honestly, out of every couple, their wedding photos to me looked the absolute worst. I feel like they got, whoever was a photographer didn't know how to light dark-skinned people at night, because their wedding, by the time they took the pictures. It was at night. Every picture has like a beam of light coming out of the back that's supposed to look like some kind of special effect, but really it's just bad photography. Meka and Michael then end up going to Panama because that's stage 2 of this process. Is they first get married, meet each other at the altar in this arranged situation that's already weird for these couples because they're so used to Western ideas of what marriage is and love is, that having an arranged marriage could be a little jarring. So in order to kind of break that tension, they send them off to a tropical island or a tropical place. And this season it's Panama. So they go to Panama and they meet there with the other couples. And right off the bat, you could kind of tell that there is some kind of energy difference between Meka and Michael and the rest of the couples. It's so interesting because as I watch the season, it's like Michael is better when the camera is just on him than he is when the camera is on him and Meka. When it's on him and Meka having a conversation, he's very reserved. He's like always like this, or he's got his phone. He's like looking at his phone as though like she's interrupted his phone time. It's really weird. It's like as soon as he sees her, his like walls go up, you know? And so they're in Panama, and when they land, something has happened. We don't know what's happened, but there is a weird energy. Okay. All the other couples are excited. They're touching each other. There's like emotion. There's something going on, right? Meka and Michael, nah. Okay. Michael has his headphones on and they're like the big ones, and it just looks like he doesn't want to be bothered, you know? So they get back to their hotel room, and it turns out that Michael said something to Meka that led her to believe that he wouldn't be okay with their relationship if they didn't have sex during the honeymoon. Now, Meka had heard from her friends and everybody who had spoken to Michael at the wedding that he was willing to let it all be on her, that sex wasn't even involved, that he wasn't going to force any kind of intimacy. And when they were on the plane, he said something that triggered her. Now, he Vietnamese Vehe is what it is. He stone cold denies it. Says, no, that's not what happened. I didn't say that. And the thing is though, is like, he won't say what he said. He just said, I didn't say that. And instead of clarifying himself and saying, well, this is what I meant when I said this other thing that is not, which is what I actually said, he didn't clarify it. So she ended up like just being like, oh, he's a liar. I can't trust him. Because on the plane, he said that if he and I don't have sex or something, then he's going to consider it not a failure, but like he's going to have a problem with that. Me personally, I'm like, we're married now. I want to see what the D is like. So let's do it. But a lot of these women and even some of the men are like, I don't want to have sex until like I feel more comfortable. And I'm like, okay, girl. I mean, I get you, but like, not really. I mean, if we're going to really do this, like, let's see what it's like. That is the basis of it. While they're in Panama, that kind of taints their relationship until almost like the second or third day. I mean, they are mad at each other for like 3 full days. Michael gets up, he gets his own room. They're not staying in the same room. When they have group activities, Michael doesn't really say anything. You know, sometimes the women are with the women and the men are with the men. When they're together, it's just kind of like, what do you want to do? He's afraid of heights or something, and he doesn't want to do that. And she's kind of like, I feel like she thinks Michael low-key is a punk. And sometimes she comes off like, oh, you don't want to skydive or you don't want to zip line. And it's not like she's actually making those faces, but Meka don't have no, like, she's not going to fake a smile at all. You know, and she just looks like me when I'm hungry. And it seems like Meka been hungry this entire trip in Panama. The sun is not brightening up her mood. The beaches aren't brightening up her mood. Like, it's really hard to piss me off on the tropics. It's like she does not want to crack a smile or let that man in an inch. So finally they have a conversation and he says, you know, I'm willing to work on it. That's not what I said, but let's start over again. And she says, okay. And she tries to like explain to him what she's feeling, and she does, but because we weren't there and we don't see the footage of what happened, it's kind of, we don't know like what she's really talking about, like whatever friction they had after the lie. They go walking around Panama when everybody else is like on a boat having a good time. And they go walking around to try to like get to know each other. So they do some sightseeing, which to me is like, oh, who wants to sightsee, girl? Like, get me out on that water. I'd have been so pissed off if I watched this back and saw that everybody went on some water. I had to walk around with him. So anyway, so she walks around with him and they decide they're going to make it work and it's going to be fine. He then tells her that he's had this car since like 2006 and it only has 20,000 miles on it. And she's like, oh, wow. Are you sure? And he's like, yep, only 20,000 miles. And she's like, can't be. Girl, turns out that's a whole lie. Okay? Turns out that's a lie. So that's lie number 2. Okay. Then we get back to the States and they then have to cohabitate together, and they have some kind of meeting with Dr. Cal, and he then in that meeting like announces that he's getting another job, that he's turned down the job that he initially had before they went because the terms of the job changed. And now he's going to be a principal at a private Catholic school and he's going to be making triple the amount of money. And so like that's a surprise to Meka because she's like, you're my husband and we've already talked about money a little bit. We talked about like who makes what, and you didn't tell me that, but okay, now you're saying this in front of Pastor Cal. So I get that. So for me, that was a red flag because I'm like, dude, why won't you have these conversations with her while y'all are just by yourself? Like, why is it when the camera comes on, we get this Michael? But when she's with him in the camera, he's like looking sullen and like she's beating up on him or whatever. That she's making his life so terrible and he's having to constantly stay defensive. And the way he describes himself is like he's the emotional center. And here's the truth. She does like to take him down a peg a little bit. And I don't think she realizes that she's doing it. I think it's just her natural instinct to like poke fun and make fun and like be a little contrary, which is sometimes I meet girls that are like that. That is like, man, you can't do that to their man, and that can be emasculating to the man, and the man can feel some kind of way about it when all they're really trying to do is impress them. And I could be that way, so like I get it, I get what she's doing, but it's not working for her. It's not working for him, it's not working for her, it's not working for us. Then he like helps her take out her weave, and she feels like she could trust him a little bit more because he does that, which I thought was a really cute, sweet moment. And then like a couple minutes after that, he tells her that he turned down the job with the principal as the principal because something changed, and he says that he doesn't want to work for a private company because they can do whatever they want and it's less stability. So he took another job doing something else, and now she's just calling BS. She then divulges to the experts and to the camera that Michael has lied about several things, and one of those things is like is what he said to her in the airport about the mileage on his car, little things, just lying. And she like doesn't understand why he does that. And when she confronts him, he says that he tells those lies because he's adopted and he's pulling up his armor. And like sometimes he just wants to tell her whatever to like get himself out of the situation. I don't know what it's like to be adopted, but he keeps saying that like he has some kind of trust issues or abandonment issues. And so it doesn't even feel like he's lying to keep her. It feels like he's lying to save face. Okay. Another thing that we find out is a lie is that he's not a yoga instructor. He wanted to take her out and like bring her to the yoga studio. So she got to the yoga studio a little early and asked for him. And the person at the desk didn't know who he was and told her that he actually cleaned the yoga rooms, that he's not a teacher there. And then he says that was a misunderstanding because the yoga studio has a lot of turnover. And so the person at the desk didn't know who he was because he isn't the owner. It's not the old owner or something dumb. Okay. Something real dumb. Yoga studios that I know don't have a lot of turnover. Because part of the reason why the yoga studio is popular is because whoever the owner is has really good relationships with a lot of the people who attend. That's from my experience. And so for them to say that he was just a janitor, girl, I wouldn't have been able to bounce back from that. Meka's doing the Lord work. I'm like, no, you are a liar. We all have that one friend who lies, right? Who adds dubs to things, like who just embellishes. But this man is straight up lying. And how can you be in a marriage with somebody who's going to lie? He tries to do different things to win her back. He buys her like a box of candy or something that he curated because she loves to eat candy, but there's a lot of candy she can't eat because once she got back from Panama, she got braces. So I imagine that Meka's not smiling very much because her teeth hurt. Like, it's just a lot, okay? And she's still really trying, but I don't know how you can come back from that. I cannot trust you. I cannot trust that when I ask you a question, what's going to come out of your mouth is going to be the truth, and we are married. But at the same time, I wish the chick would just smile. Just give me a crack, a smile, and try something. But I get it. And sometimes he says stuff that's like corny funny, and she doesn't respond with a smile. She responds with like she really don't like him. I can't imagine them getting to the place, you know, where it's going to be good. I mean, for their month anniversary, he tells her that he's bought tickets to Ocho Rios in Jamaica so that she can swim with dolphins because she loves dolphins. And I would really love to see her swimming with dolphins and smiling. I can't even imagine somebody having that much joy. Or someone like her having that much joy. And she's like, she doesn't even know if he's telling the truth. She's like, what Michael got for me was really sweet, but let's see if he actually bought them and let's see if we actually go. Like, that's how much she thinks that he's a liar. The yoga studio thing, though, that's a crazy lie. I don't know why he didn't get her there before her. Like, and apparently he only taught one class one time, and he just like been telling everybody that he's a yoga instructor. So she tells on him. She tells Pastor Cal. She tells whoever, like, he lied about this, he lied about that. And Pastor Cal has to have a real conversation with Michael, and it's like, Michael, you are lying. Why did you lie? He's like, well, because I'm adopted. It's like, oh gosh. And so he'd just be lying. He'd just be lying. Like, it's crazy. So Pastor Cal is like, you have got to lie, and you can't get defensive whenever she doesn't trust you because you have already like pulled all the foundation of trust up, and now you need to brick by brick build it back up. Okay. And he's like, okay. It's like he only listens to Pastor Cal when she's telling him how she feels. He's just like unable to hear her. He's sitting there like, okay, I'll try. And she's like, no, tell me what it is you need. Do you need me to hold your hand? Do you need me to do this? Because I feel like I'm coming out of my zone in order to give you what you want. So if what I'm doing is not enough. And he's like, well, I don't want to have to tell you. She's like, you do have to tell me because it isn't natural for me. And he's like, well, the other day when you held my hand, it felt like you were just doing it because I wanted you to do it. And she's like, no, I held your hand because in that moment, I felt like holding your hand. These two are not made for each other. I don't know who Michael's going to get. Because the lying about the mileage on his car, like what, that was a weird flex. Like, what was that lie for? She asked him for his check stubs and he hasn't given them to her yet. So she really doesn't know how much money he makes. And right now they're living in this like apartment that is being paid for by production. You know what I'm saying? So the money doesn't really like come into play yet because they're still kind of living their own bank account lives while living together, not having to pay rent at these places. I'm sure they're still paying rent at their other abodes, but it's just like, I just don't know that they can come back. So all right, you guys. So that is the end of my conversation about Meka and Michael. Let's have a kiki and a conversation down below. Let me know what you guys thought. Think of their relationship so far. Do you think they're going to make it? I don't know. And y'all, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Okay? Subscribe. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and watch the next video that I have either here or here or here. I don't know where it is, but wherever that video is popped up, go ahead and click on it and watch me talk about the other couples. All right? Remember to be you, be true, and find your place. Bye.